All righty, big game energy. It is Tuesday, July 21st, coming at you. James and Spencer back together again. James, we have some stuff to discuss. We are going to talk about the Falcons and the Saints today in our why they won't win the Super Bowl series. We also, before we get into that though, I got to admit I'm a little sad because the World Cup is officially over. Spain is the champions of the world.
Woo!
Like who said at the very beginning of the World Cup? Yours truly. I did predict Spain at the very beginning of the World Cup. Just throwing it out there for some of those haters on Instagram that said, I don't know footy.
I thought Spain should have won 4-0, 3-0, however you want to cut it. I'm starting to believe some of the conspiracies regarding the refereeing versus Argentina and somehow got to get Argentina and Messi to penalty kicks. But Spence, woo! I ain't never seen anyone tuck their tails in a final. Imagine if you called a guy your GOAT and he tucked his tail and just looked like the Frozen one, LeBron James versus the Mavs. Look, man, it could have been one thing. You get beat, okay, what it is. But I don't know what Argentina's game plan was. And again, I'm not going to act like I know what it truly was. But one team was the super aggressive and the other team was just like, is there a way we can get this to penalties? I saw no effort into Argentina. I know homeboy got a red card and other guy walked right out because he was hurt. But damn, Messi and Argentina, what the man? You didn't even like try. You're down 1-0 and freaking I don't see no effort really to try to score it after the extra time. So I was shocked, Spence, on the effort of Argentina. I was glad Spain won because that's who I picked to win that game and win me some money. I was a little shocked by Argentina's effort.
If any of the haters on our Instagram and TikTok hear you talk about their GOAT like that, oh, you're the you don't know ball allegation is going to be loud for you too, James. They're not going to just come in my way. But yeah, it was a great World Cup. I will say this is my thing. After we had the World Cup, it was a great tournament.
Yeah.
The next World Cup is going to be over in Europe. But if they are true with what they're saying about it's going to expand to 64 teams in the future, I promise this will not be the last World Cup that we have on American soil in our lifetime. Because if we're going to have 64 teams in the tournament, and it's going to be that's a ton of groups, that's a ton of group play, that's a full slate of round of 32, round of 16, all the way to the final. If we do expand to 64, there's not a whole lot of places on Earth that they can have this tournament. The USA is definitely going to be seeing another one in our lifetime. That's my bold prediction after the World Cup.
And your bold prediction is right. You know why? Because guess who hosts March Madness? We can host all them damn cities and all them games. I don't care who it is. We'll even throw a damn game in Idaho. I don't know who's going to show up, but somebody's going to be there.
We don't need to. We have enough stadiums in every other state that's not pointless.
Yeah, just make sure, hey, next time, if you want to do the NFL stadiums, let's put some college football stadiums in there. That's what I want to see next time.
And when you take the turf out and you put the grass in and the World Cup ends, leave the grass. That's for you, George Kittle. Leave the grass.
Leave the grass, right?
All right, so we are continuing today our why they won't win the Super Bowl series, the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons. The Saints are poised to take a big step forward in 2026, but they will not win the Super Bowl next season. So last year, after they started the season 1-8, the Saints finished strong, finishing 5-3 down the stretch, largely in part due to their defense and Tyler Shough breaking out in his rookie year. They go into this offseason, they sign Travis Etienne at running back, they add talent to the offensive line with David Edwards coming over from Buffalo to bolster that unit. That got Tyler Shough sacked quite a bit. And they also drafted Jordan Tyson in round 1 to add to their offensive weapons. So on paper, the Saints are looking pretty good as they go into the season. There's a lot of hope, a lot of optimism there in New Orleans. James, to cast water on the fire that's down in New Orleans, the first reason they will not win the Super Bowl is if the offense does not improve from what we saw last season. They were one of the bottom 10 teams in terms of offensive output in both points and yards. Now, a lot of that was before Tyler Shough took over, and it was still the Spencer Rattler show. But For the Saints to actually contend, they're going to have to figure out something on the offensive side. And other than adding Jordan Tyson and Travis Etienne, which some might argue are marginal upgrades over the talent that was there before.
Right.
I don't know. I don't see a case that if this offense does not improve drastically, that they'll contend next year.
No, you got a point. Even though the improvement that we saw from Tyler Shough, still, even through 11 games, he only threw 10 touchdowns. That's not a lot. When you gotta beat NFL teams, you gotta score points. And if he's not putting the ball in the end zone, it's just going to be tough. Hell, his QBR was 48.8, which was, again, bottom 2/3 of the NFL. So yeah, we hope he does improve later on. But if he doesn't improve, again, you look, what difference does it make if the quarterback's not going to improve? How does that help Travis Etienne? How does that help a 30-year-old aging Alvin Kamara? Even though, yes, they restructured his contract, he'll retire as a legend there in the Bayou County. But then you look at the receiving core. So again, you say on paper it looks great. Again, this does have to make sense. And I know Kellen Moore will fix things here and there and make sure things go right, but we need Tyler Shough to improve, because if not, this team, like you mentioned, bottom tier in scoring last year, they'll stay the same if they don't improve on the quarterback side of things.
Yeah, and Kellen Moore being their head coach, I know he came over from Philly after winning a Super Bowl. It was a great offensive mind there as the Eagles offensive coordinator that season. But let's not forget what happened before that. The season before that, when he was with the Chargers, fizzled out with an offense that had a lot of talent. Before that, was basically fired along with Mike McCarthy from the Cowboys job. And a lot of people thought that maybe he was going to be the heir apparent to that head coaching job. They kicked him out to the curb with Mike McCarthy. They wanted nothing to do with it. So even though he's looked good through the past 2 seasons when it comes from an offensive play caller standpoint, I'm not sold that Kellen Moore can create an offense that is elite for an entire season. We haven't seen it in quite some time, to be frank, save for the one season that he won a Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Yeah, it'll be tough. You never know what happens in the NFC South.
Now, reason number 2 why the Saints won't win the Super Bowl, despite having a pretty strong defense last year, they were top 10 in yards per game as a defense. Their defensive secondary is shaky at best and potentially terrible at worst. You have Kool-Aid McKinstry. He should be a solid piece. Not elite, but he's a good starting cornerback. After him, though, you're looking at projects like Martin Emerson, who didn't play all of 2025, Quincy Riley, TJ Hall, Isaac Yiadom, right? This is a unit of guys who they are hoping and banking that one of these guys from this group, after Kool-Aid McKinstry, can break out and become their cornerback too. But of all those names, none of them really inspire hope for me. So you're potentially looking at what could be one of the worst secondaries in the entire NFL. And for me, the front 7, despite not being bad, I don't know if it's good enough to hold tight and get after the pass rusher or get after the passer for long enough that those corners can hold up in coverage. It's a little bit of a sketchy ask for me.
Yeah, no, you mentioned it. That's where I was basically going with the depth of this secondary. Again, roll tide on Kool-Aid McKinstry, but you mentioned it. Before last year, Cameron Jordan had sacks of 2 and 4 the 2 previous seasons. Last year he had 10.5. At 37, are you cornerbacks going to rely on that guy? Again, we know Chase Young, always been a project, had the high draft capital with the Commanders, went to the Niners, now is with the Saints. Again, very productive. Will he have that same output? And you think about it, again, you're relying on guys like Tyree Wilson, who was a former first-round draft pick, a top 10 pick with the Raiders, and you grab him, but he's listed 3rd on your depth chart. Again, are we relying on a 37-year-old Cameron Jordan? I hope not secondary. So please step it up. If not, this will be a long season fishing for y'all.
Yep. And the last reason why, and this one hurts to say, but unfortunately, the wide receiver group for the Saints with Chris Olave and Jordan Tyson, while extremely talented on paper, these are 2 wide receivers that through their career, one longer than others, right? One, like Olave being more established than Tyson going into his rookie season, but throughout their careers respectively have had a lot of trouble staying healthy. And I think to ask both of these guys to be healthy for a full 17-game schedule is a near impossible ask. And if your offense is that reliant on these two guys to stay healthy, I struggle to see them having a path towards contention.
Now we treat Chris Olave like Tua Tagovailoa. He might have played one full season, but he is still one hit away, one concussion away from being in a documentary on Netflix with CTE. And then with Jordan Tyson, a lot of capital is invested on this guy. He missed 34% of his games in college, which torn ACL, MCL, PCL at Colorado in 23, broken collarbone in 24 at Arizona State. And then he strained both of his hammies. We make fun of Mike Evans for straining his hammy, but when you strain both of your hammies at this young of age and you miss your last 3 games in college and you have to skip the combine because you can't stay healthy, whoo! Saints, man, hey, watch out.
Yeah. Now, as we do this series and as we go through all 32 teams and tell you why they won't win the Super Bowl, we're going to come across teams like the New Orleans Saints that me and James are both fans of in terms of how they're looking for this upcoming year.
Yeah.
I don't have their win total in front of me, but I would probably bet the over on their Vegas win total. That being said, predictions for 2026, James.
I think they go 8-9 in this NFC South. That just might be doable to win first place in this division.
That is possible, but James, I'm going bold. This is a team that is going to be a darling for me in 2026. I have the Saints not winning the Super Bowl, obviously, but I have them winning the division, and then in classic New Orleans Saints fashion, they lose in the playoffs in heartbreaking, all-time epic proportions, like we saw with the Minneapolis Miracle and like we saw the following year with the no-call pass interference in the NFC Championship game. The Saints always find creative ways to lose in the playoffs, but good news, Saints fans, I have you getting there, but you will have another chapter when you inevitably do lose in the playoffs because you are not winning the Super Bowl in 2027. But y'all let us know in the comments, how do you see the Saints finishing this season? Will their wide receivers be able to stay healthy? Who will emerge in the secondary opposite Kool-Aid McKinstry? And can this offense improve from last year? Y'all let us know down below. Now the next team, James. The Atlanta Falcons have one of the most talented offenses in the entire NFL, but they will not win the Super Bowl in 2027. Last year, the Falcons started off very hot, making bold moves, bold trades in the 2025 NFL Draft, having 2 first-round picks, and by many accounts, overpaying to get those 2 first-round picks. But they started 3-2, and things were looking good. And then they went on a stretch of games where they lost 7 of 8, and once again, for the second consecutive year, finished at 8-9, thus resulting in them firing Raheem Morris to start their offseason. They then bring in Kevin Stefanski to replace him as head coach. And then after that, the Falcons didn't do a whole lot. They signed Tua Tagovailoa to compete with Michael Penix for the starting job. They re-signed Kyle Pitts and Drake London to big contracts, 2 guys that are top of their position. But other than that, they really kind of treaded water and didn't make a ton of moves to improve on their roster from last year. So, James, reason number 1, they are not going to win the Super Bowl. We're going to start with their one offensive move they did make this year, and that is Tua and Michael Penix, the 2 guys that are going to be starting, or the 2 guys that are going to be competing for a starting job in Atlanta, are both lefties, and they are both bad at football.
Dude, this can't get any worse. Recipe for disaster. 2 lefties, and like they say, if you got 2, you ain't got any quarterbacks. And I just feel bad because you know how I feel about dissing on Tua because Tide again. But man, Spence, the injury history between these 2 and being lefties, look, I get it. For Tua, needs a new scenery. We get all that fun jazz. I'm not even impressed with how I looked at him in photos, even in training camp. He looks like he's put on a couple pounds. Stay away from the Magic City Wings, Tua. You're a married man. We don't need all that there. I know they'll get you at Magic City. But in all honesty, for me, it is this quarterback room. Every room could be a make or break, but literally this is a walk on eggshells quarterback room with Tua and Michael Penix. You look at both of their histories. Tua, of course, before he got drafted, the knee, the hip, the high ankle sprains. Then since being in the NFL, 5 documented cases of concussions. So, wow. Again, 1 hit away from him. And then you look at Michael Penix, the list of ACL, MCLs, PCLs, LCLs, LLCs, whatever acronym Michael Penix can tear, he will tear for you. And that's just been his career. And unfortunately, there's a lot of upside. And that was one of the main reasons why this last head of regime got fired, because they took this huge risk on Michael Penix. And now they're not even satisfied, and they don't even feel like they need to pick up his fifth-year option. So it's a bad case to be in Atlanta, and hopefully this does revive Tua's career, because if not, Tua might be done.
Yeah, and this is an offense, again, Bijan Robinson, one of the best running backs in football. They have Drake London, one of the best wide receivers in football. Kyle Pitts finally emerged last year after some disappointing seasons, but was one of the best tight ends in the whole NFL last year. So the talent's there. The offensive line leaves a little bit to be desired, right? You got guys like Jawan Taylor there, Mr. False Start King, and Chris Lindstrom's one of the best interior linemen in the league. Really, they need a quarterback that can come in and can make things happen on their own and can be Superman a little bit. And I just don't see Tua or Michael Penix, either of those guys, having that in their potential outcomes. Either of those guys need to be system quarterbacks at best, where there's a set offensive line, there's established weapons around them, a good offensive play caller. And I do like Kevin Stefanski and his ability to call an offense. I do think he was a good hire for the Falcons. But year one with these two guys, I think it's far more likely that the Falcons are going to be picking in the top 5 than they would be picking in the bottom 5 of the first round.
Woo! All right, man. Buckle up, Atlanta.
Yeah. Now, reason number 2, and it's a little bit more of an iffy kind of thing, but the defensive front 7 does not look like it could be in for a good season for the Falcons. Now, James, last year, this group was middle of the pack on defense, right?
Right, yeah. Yards, points, you name it. But sacks, number 2 in the league.
Yes.
And you mentioned this top 7, this front 7 might have a bad outlook because we don't know what's going to happen with James Pierce Jr. Again, we know some of the charges have been dropped. He's facing 3 felonies. If he gets slapped with an extensive suspension, a guy who had 10 and a half sacks last year, that's 20% of your production. Spence, who are you going to rely on to get 10 sacks?
Yeah, after that, they brought in Samson Ebukam. They signed Azeez Ojulari from the Giants and the Eagles. These are guys that I would kind of put in the Jag territory. They're just a guy. They're not scrubs, but I don't think they're going to be anyone that is going to be inking long-term extensions. They bring in Christian Harris from the Texans, who you hear that he's from the Texans defense, and that seems like it's pretty good, but he was a cast-off, and he did not get a lot of snaps with that unit last season. He was not one of the ones that was making that Texans defense a formidable unit. He was the guy that was on the outside looking in of playing time, and that's why he left for greener pastures in Atlanta. Now, maybe they can use him a little bit differently and have him in a more featured role on that defense. But all this to say is this front 7, it could be in for a tough year. I love what they did in the secondary. You got the Terrell brothers there as your cornerbacks. You got Mike Hughes there as well. Jesse Bates, Xavier Watts. This is a good secondary. But can that front 7 get after the pass rusher, stop the run to hold up that secondary and help them succeed? That remains to be seen for me.
Yeah. And again, I know we mentioned it just a bit earlier. Not having James Pierce is going to make a difference. So it'll be a tough one. And again, with what we project from some of these teams who are going to get better, like the Panthers who went to the playoffs last year, the Saints who looked really good at the end of this last season, they're looking to be better. And you got the Bucs who it seems like Baker is the Iron Man and he'll find a way to throw 5,000 yards on one knee, one ankle, and whoever's catching the ball.
Yep. And the final reason why the Falcons will not win the Super Bowl, we mentioned it at the beginning, but this is a team that this offseason, after a second consecutive 8-9 season, they approached the offseason with some cap issues and some guys they needed to pay. So it wasn't ever going to be a lucrative offseason, and they didn't have draft capital to add in the draft. This resulted in them making very minimal moves, basically at the margins. They didn't hand out any big contracts. They lost a couple key guys. Again, their headlining move is signing Tua to a 1-year minimum contract because he doesn't need to sign a big deal because he's getting paid a ton of money from the Dolphins. So at least they struck a bargain there. But when that's your headlining move after a season you went 8-9 in the previous year, I don't see a pathway for them to finish any better then 8-9, and transitioning over into our predictions, I think it's possible. I'm going to have them at 8-9, missing the playoffs, obviously, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that the Atlanta Falcons are in the top 5, and they're in the Arch Manning, Dante Moore sweepstakes.
Yeah, you mentioned it. They didn't do much in the offseason. Again, a lot of it's being capped. They didn't have really any draft capital because they traded their pick last year to the Rams, so they're the ones who took their pick. It seems like with the Falcons, what they're doing is they throw a lot of crap on the wall and hopefully it sticks. And they have all these pieces and they're willing to try new things, but there's something inside the organization. They need to change up the process. And if it's firing a coach every 2 to 3 years, I don't think that's the answer. It might be something else to investigate, into that organization. I'm not going to say, Arthur Blank, you're done. You got to sell the team. I won't do it that far. But again, I see this team also going 8-9. I want to joke all year and say everyone's going to be 8-9. And the only way someone's going to win this division is depending on how you lost to the Jets by so many points. And that's who's going to be the number 1 team in this division. But I hope, in my eye, that Tua is the one who can play a full season and get through it, actually look productive. But other than that, yeah, I'm with you. This team didn't do much to be up in a way to win the Super Bowl. And guess what? That's why they won't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, unless you're a big fan of Jahan Dotson, which I low-key am. I do think there's some talent there. But
I was for like 2 years.
Yeah, but now him as the number 2 option behind Drake London, I'm just not sure that's a big upgrade from even Darnell Mooney from a year ago. But Y'all let us know in the comments, what is your outlook for the Atlanta Falcons in 2026? What do you see them finishing at? Will they improve on their 8-9 record from last year? Can Tua or Michael Penix take the reins and actually contend with this team? And what's going to happen with the James Pierce situation? And what will be the fallout for that defense after that? Y'all let us know in the comments. Now, James, let's wrap up this episode. We got about four minutes and some change. We can do a little no huddle here.
Oh, man, it's going to be tough with the first one, Spence.
Yeah, James, the first thing I want to just throw out there, Ryan Clark fired from ESPN.
Woo! Oh, man, I don't want to say, oh, happy day, oh, happy. Because somebody's going to be like, race baiter, mother. At the end of the day, hey, look, ESPN paying their top guys big money. And at the end of the day, somebody's got to get cut. Just like LeBron and them said, we're top heavy and all these other guys we just got to deal with.
Yeah, apparently Pat McAfee is getting like $60 million a year from ESPN. And that's a big reason why they're having to cut some of these other personalities. So I'll just say it like this, $60 million for Pat McAfee seems like a crazy number. But if cutting Ryan Clark to make room to pay Pat McAfee is what had to happen, I think that's a trade that 90% of sports fans would take in a heartbeat, because we all love Pat McAfee and very few people actually like Ryan Clark. At this point, no one likes Ryan Clark. And you mentioned the race baiting stuff. I don't even think you have to do that. I think you can just look at how much of an ass he is. And the clip that's been going viral today was his exchange with Peter Schrager on Get Up earlier this season. Early at the beginning of football season last year, where he basically was like, hey, you didn't play the game like I did, so shut your ass up. And Peter Schrager is a respected NFL journalist who has worked in the NFL for years and years. He has plugs, and he's very plugged into NFL teams around the league. But yeah, sure, he didn't play football, but I immediately lose respect for anyone that pulls that card, because here me and you are, James. We are two sports fans that haven't played sports at the highest level or anywhere close. The highest either of us have is a little bit of high school sports.
Try out for JUCO basketball. Yeah, that's about it for me.
But that being said, and we talk about this a lot, I can't tell you how many times we have seen, and the comments can let us know, there are so many times that former professional athletes come out on their podcast or to the media, and they just have objectively terrible takes. But no one is in the comments in there being like, well, gosh, they played football, so what they said has to be correct. For example, like here's an easy one, and this one's a polarizing one, but Scottie Pippen played with Michael Jordan, and he says LeBron James is the GOAT. Now, I don't care what side of the GOAT debate you are on, if you're Jordan, if you're LeBron. If you're the type of person that says, well, hey, if they're a pro athlete, we got to take it from what they said, then you cannot be a Jordan is the GOAT guy. you have to be LeBron as the GOAT guy because Scottie Pippen, the former pro athlete that played with Michael Jordan, is saying that LeBron is better. So again, I'm not saying that's my take on it, but if you are that person that thinks we always have to listen to the pro athletes' takes over anyone else's because they played the sport, LeBron James is your GOAT. Congratulations.
Thank you. I love to hear it. GOAT James, man. GOAT James. All right, Spence. Hey, man, I know you wanted me to be quick, but this No Huddle has got me thinking. Spence, I've seen a list come out. Top 100 players this year in NFL. Bo Nix ranked 59th, 10 spots above Lamar Jackson, who ranked at 69. We like that number, but not in this debate right now. Spence, what are your thoughts, man? Bo Nix ranked ahead of Lamar Jackson.
Top 100 players list. It used to be something as a kid I was always hyped for. Back in like 2011, 2012, 2013, like those years where they would do a weekly episode on Wednesday nights and it would give 10 players at a time, and they did that in the summer leading up. That was when this list was peak. And that's when it actually honestly made sense. Ever since then, I've now questioned constantly, are they actually asking the players this question? Because I cannot believe for a moment. Most fans aren't going to feel this way unless they're an absolute hater, but I especially can't imagine being a linebacker that has been tasked with covering the Baltimore Ravens, and Lamar Jackson is the quarterback, and you have to spy him, and then you spy him. Well, now you have one less man in the secondary. Now he's going to dice you up with his arm, and I know he's not put it together yet, right? But look, he has...
Man, I can't believe you said that. Can't put it together, and he's a what? Time MVP?
He is a 2-time MVP. He has not gotten to the Super Bowl yet, but let's say it like this. Unfortunately, the truth is, whether you like it or not, he's been to the same amount of conference championships as Bo Nix, and he has 2 MVPs to his name. I'm not going to sit here and no one can sit here with a straight face and pretend that Bo Nix is better than Lamar Jackson. That is just preposterous. And players agree with that. I know for a fact that list is not made by NFL players.
So I will say this. Agree to the players. Yeah, they would say I would rather face Bo Nix over Lamar Jackson, the features that Lamar Jackson can bring. But I'm going to be on the other side of this, Spence, and say, hey.
Are we actually disagreeing on something?
Bo Nix did play better than Lamar Jackson last year. And I just look at it as a last year thing, not a resume thing.
See, but the top 100 list is the top 100 players going into next season. Right? So it is a big chunk. What you did for me last year matters too, but it also matters what you've done your whole career. And Lamar Jackson has just accomplished so much more than Bo Nix has in his 2 years. I don't see how you can truly make that case unless you're just being a hater.
Look, I'm not saying a hater, but by your tactics, LeBron James is the best player in the NBA. No one should be ranked above him.
That's not what I said. I said it's both. You have to factor in both. There's nuance.
It's just last year. No resume.
That's not true, though, because it's not just last year. It's not the top 100 players just last year. It is the top 100 players for 2026 going into the 2026 season. That's the criteria they're asking. So, yeah, you're factoring in the last season a lot, but you can't just ignore everything they did in their career up to last year. It's not last year in a vacuum. There's a lot more nuance than that.
Look, you said it to me. All you said, look, I agree with you. The players are going to want to face Bo versus Lamar, but you said it, man. Last year, Bo played better than Lamar, and you mentioned just a second ago, even Lamar with 2-time MVPs, blah, blah, still ain't got it together.
Oh, hey, how about this one? Who's played in more championship games? Lamar Jackson.
All right, Spence, we still staying in football. Earlier we talked about the Falcons. Now, the Benz has been open since 2017, but the Falcons have not hosted a playoff game in the Benz or won a playoff game in the Benz. Since the stadium's been open since 2017, 12 other teams have won a playoff game in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Can you guess those 12 teams right now?
No, I'll try to guess this. It's going to be all the teams, huh?
I'll give you a hint. There is pro football, college football, and soccer on this list.
Okay, let's get Atlanta United.
Yes, one.
Okay, as I know they went on a little championship run a couple years ago. All right, how about this? Can I get Georgia?
Yes, number 2.
Can I get Alabama?
Yes, number 3.
Okay. What are the sports again? So I got pro football.
You got one pro football team you got 6 college football teams, and you got 5 soccer teams.
Oh, you're gonna have to help me with the soccer teams. And
You probably know the soccer more than you think, actually. Some of these teams, you guess one. There's 3 you do know because they just either won some games at the bins for the World Cup.
Oh.
So there's a few teams on here, and then I know you know this one team. It's an acronym. It's a 3-letter team. I give it to you. You know this team. I don't know what league they play in. It's the one that everyone played for. Mbappe and Messi. And all.
PSG.
Boom!
Okay.
There we
What
go.
the hell did they win in Atlanta?
Oh, yo, at this moment, hey, man, they won a playoff game. I don't know what league and what they did before the Falcons.
This stat's going to give me cancer. I'm going to have to figure this one out. Let's see. Okay. Well, then let me just name some freaking... Are they European teams or they're MLS teams?
So there's 3 soccer teams. Like I said, 2 of them played in the World Cup, so you got to guess the 2 of them.
They're international teams? Yeah. Let me just name some European teams. Let's just start off. I'll start with Germany. Bayern Munich.
No.
How about Dortmund?
There you go. All right. So we got 3 soccer teams. We need 2 more.
How about that?
Look at that. You are just racking it up.
So there are 2 international teams. I don't even know who all played in Atlanta in international, and it was a playoff game, so it had to have been the round of 32. Let's go with. Can I get France?
No.
Can I get Spain?
No.
Can I get England?
Yes. There you go. Team number 4, and then you got the 5th one. Get it.
Is Argentina?
Number 5. All right. So
okay.
5 soccer teams have won a playoff game. All right. You also named 1 college football team. You named 2.
I named 2. I got Bama and Georgia.
We need 4 more.
Okay. I need to figure out. The pro football team is going to be hard. Who has won a playoff game in Atlanta? Has the Super Bowl been in Atlanta?
Yep.
It's okay. Who won a Super Bowl recently?
It's only been there once, and you'll know the Super Bowl.
I forgot the year it was in Atlanta. Who was in it?
If I tell you the number, you'll know it. So I can't tell you.
Well, let's just throw the Chiefs then.
No.
So it's not the Chiefs. It wasn't the Rams. Wasn't the Eagles. Wasn't the Seahawks. Why can't I think of who has won a Super Bowl since then?
This one's gonna be. You're gonna be.
Patriots.
There you go. The one NFL team, Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta. So,
yeah,
there
it is. That was
now
against the Rams, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we're down.
That's why I don't remember that one. That Super Bowl sucked.
That one did.
Sony Michel.
4 college football teams right now. 2 Big Ten, 2 SECs right now.
Okay, let's go Michigan.
No.
Ohio State.
Yes.
Oh, I know the Ohio State one now. That was the UT game.
No, that was in Dallas. They won the national championship game against Notre Dame at the Benz.
Okay, got it. Well, that's fine. I'm still taking Ohio State. An SEC team, and I already got Georgia, and I already got Alabama. Can I get Texas?
Texas, number 4 team.
Okay. An SEC team that won a playoff game. LSU.
There you go, number 5. Yeah, they beat Oklahoma like 100-6 in the first half, and then it was done.
Yeah,
all right.
Atlanta's one of those stadiums, like I have to visualize, but you can actually visualize how that dome looks different than the other domes. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely. All right, man. Got one more team, Big Ten. This should be an obvious one. You'll be upset because they just did this.
Oregon?
No.
Oh, Indiana.
Indiana. There you go, man. Those are the 12 teams that have won a playoff game in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, except the Atlanta Falcons.
That's a crazy stat.
And I will wrap it up, man, because I got some ones that there's no time sensitive on these other ones. So we'll see it on Wednesday with, hey, man, a new guest.
Potentially. We're cooking up some stuff.
We're
cooking up some stuff. All righty, James. Good episode. We will be back later this week. Quick turnaround. We will be back on Thursday this week, and we are continuing the NFC South. We will talk about the Bucs and the Panthers and why they won't win the Super Bowl. But for James, I'm Spencer. We'll see y'all next time on Big Game Energy. I'll take it easy.
I guess we're sticking with American football, like our haters say.